What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Human Proof broadcast. Today we have a individual. His name is Brian, and he's from ParkSavers.com, a very unique website in the travel and ticketing space, actually. So, Brian, welcome.
Thank you, Kelvin. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Why don't we kick it off with what ParkSavers is all about and what your role is there?
What the heck is ParkSavers, right? Well, we tried to name it appropriately. So ParkSavers especially began as, it's sort of evolved since then, but it began as a way for the general public to save money on theme park tickets, right? So that's the name ParkSavers. And we've really specialized in ticket offerings. At this point, we actually offer tickets to about 400 theme parks nationwide. Obviously, the most popular by far are the Disney and Universal parks throughout the country here in the United States. So that's what ParkSavers is, and we are almost exclusively online. We obviously have a call center as well, but almost exclusively online, and have become who we've become through sort of learning the e-commerce world and the SEO and different types of paid advertising. So that's who we are.
Very cool. So how big is the site at this time in terms of, let's say, traffic?
Sure. So we get several thousand visitors per day. There are a couple of seasons that are a little bit busier than others, but for the most part, we're relatively consistent, kind of in that 4,000-ish visitors per day. Sometimes we can spike up to just near 6,000, but for the most part, it's around 4,000 visitors per day.
Very cool. Are the theme parks and stuff like that that you are connected with as a partner and stuff like that, is that only within the US? Do you have any like worldwide parks that you're, I guess, promoting and partnering with?
Right now it's really within the US. There are a number of regulations in place with regard to travel and travel agencies that for the theme park business mostly limit us to here within the United States. As far as being a full service travel agency, which we are as well, so we can sell packages, hotel, all-inclusive vacations, cruises, things like that. That's worldwide, and we provide a lot of that. But as far as theme park and ticketing, all of those are here in the United States.
Okay. So it wasn't always like this, right? It wasn't always the fact that you're a travel agent and you've got these good relationships with Disney, let's say, as an example.
Yeah.
Can we take a step back to the very beginning? How did it all begin to get to where you guys are?
Sure. Started, I'm sure, like many companies have, right? Sort of a passion and an idea. Dean, who's actually the founder of ParkSavers, Dean is a huge Disney fanatic. And so this kind of began with his passion for Disney. And as he sort of became the person who knows things, then what happens is your friends and family start reaching out to you and saying, hey, we're trying to plan a trip, help us out. Is there anywhere to get a good deal? Where do you recommend staying? These types of questions that you ask to anybody who you feel like knows things. And so from Dean's passion for the parks, and as he began going to the parks and building relationships just casually, not formally, casually, some opportunities came up where he was able to actually start selling tickets. And really, it just kind of began as like not even as a ParkSavers website. It was more like tools like Craigslist, right? Like, hey, I know how to get discounted tickets, reach out to me, and he would help them that way. And then he's sort of a technical guy, so he eventually set up the website. And from there, it was just a matter of getting the word out, getting the traffic. And as you know, with theme parks, it's difficult to find any type of discount. And so once you get the word out there, there's genuine interest that, hey, there's a way to get a discount. And what really, I think, takes ParkSavers over the top is, okay, now we found a place where there's a discount, but is there additional value being added? And the amount of knowledge and resources from us, from a planning perspective, as you plan your trip, and make the decision: should I go? Should I not? Should I spend the money? We help you see where the value of that money being spent is, and then we have just a ton of planning guides, hotel reviews, information, tips and tricks at the parks. Many of these theme parks are so huge, and people end up going to these parks and just sort of hitting a very limited, I feel like a very limited number of attractions, because you just want to race from like thrill ride to thrill ride. And the thing that makes some of these parks unique is that they're thrill parks, right? And so you need to know which thrill rides to go on. But other parks, especially something like Disney, the magic of Disney is not in the thrill rides. I think if you're able to really plan your trip and find those hidden gems that make Disney magical beyond just the thrill rides, you definitely get your money's worth. And that's where we as ParkSavers can come in and say, we're going to help you save some money, but then we're also going to help you get the most out of your trip. And so that's just a matter of massive amounts of content, right? Content, images, videos, help people understand what's available to them, and then they're going to get the most out of each trip.
Very cool. Very cool. So let's talk about revenue model. Actually, I think that's pretty interesting. So what was the revenue model previously? Like, how was it at the very beginning? I mean, ParkSavers, at least in its original form, is 9 years old. So it's been around for quite a while. So I think it'll be really interesting for people to understand the way that the business model has probably shifted at the very beginning to where it is today.
Absolutely. So the revenue model in particular has shifted, but additionally the business has shifted, and that's partially because we see, as we've begun to engage with clients, we understand their needs better than we did when Dean originally started. Again, when he started, I think the concept was simply, hey, can I save you a buck? Since then, we've learned that there's a far greater need out there than saving a few dollars. Now, everybody wants to save a few dollars, and again, that's where we add some value. But beyond that, we've seen opportunities to add value and to also add other things. We weren't selling cruises, we weren't selling packages to begin with. It was just these tickets. Beyond that, though, it's evolved in the relationships that have been built. To begin with, there was really no relationship to speak of with Disney or with these theme parks. Over time, that relationship has evolved and formalized, as well as Disney, for example, has changed many policies and procedures as far as the reselling of tickets. There was sort of this gray market that existed for a period of time where folks could buy a halfway used park hopper ticket, and it was kind of this underground world of reselling tickets, and led to a bunch of fraud and a bunch of issues, and something that Disney appropriately jumped right on and shut down. And so we have made sure to stay in compliance with all of these policies and procedures to make sure that we're in good graces with each of these theme parks, so that as a partner to them, yes, we want to bring people to the parks, but additionally, we want to make sure that we respect and value their brand. They're very protective of their brand, appropriately so. So our business model has evolved with these partners as their business has changed, as their policies and procedures have changed.
Okay, so at the beginning, was it like an affiliate relationship at the beginning?
So at the beginning, it wasn't an affiliate relationship. There were sort of a handful of ways where you could, not fraudulently, I just mentioned like a fraudulent way to do it, but there was a way that you could actually purchase tickets and either get some sort of rebate or discount on those tickets, and then you could turn around and you could sell these things. So that's sort of how it began. Well, as we began to get smarter and began to establish a relationship with these theme parks, we realized there are some valuable affiliate programs, and there is some opportunity to actually engage directly with the parks and grow from there. So those affiliate relationships came into place. And for the most part, the parks don't refer to them as affiliate relationships, but genuinely that's what they ultimately are, right? The bones of them is an affiliate relationship where we can go out there and we can provide value and provide traffic to these parks. And now each of the theme parks that we are set up with, we're set up directly with, and are able to work with them to engage their team, discuss best practices, sometimes work on exclusive promotions and other type deals so that we can make a unique offering to guests that brings ParkSavers some value, as well as we then engage with these guests to bring some value to the theme parks that we work with.
Very cool. Very cool. Does the website have, or I mean, does ParkSavers themselves have products?
It's a good question. So we have services, which can be viewed obviously as a product. We don't sell any type of merchandise as a product. We've actually done some merchandising in the past. Never found it to be something that's a great fit for us. We've tried a number of different things, but never found it to be a great fit for us. But our service is really the product that we promote. So what that means is the actual product is the theme park or the cruise, right? We don't provide that. We're not the supplier of that. But our services, as far as planning, vacation planning, theme park planning, as far as your trip guides, things like that, those services are what we provide that are unique to ParkSavers. There are other companies who do their own version of it, which is great, but we do our own unique version of that, which is really what we view as our product or service.
Nice. And that's all online?
For the most part, online or over the phone. We have really enjoyed the flexibility and the autonomy of being online. We have sort of two different setups for this. We obviously have some employees of our own, and then we also have an open agent program. And these agents are essentially like a franchisee type model, right? They're independent business owners who are sort of sponsored or hosted by ParkSavers so that they have an indirect relationship to each of these attractions. For a person wanting to create a living from home, to go out there and establish all of these relationships and all of these commission models and all the content that exists is nearly impossible to do unless you spend 9 years doing it, right? So a person who wants to work from home, either part-time or full-time, we have a ton of folks who are just part-time because they want to plan trips for their family. You know, I've got friends or family who go to the park once or twice a year. I want to be able to help them plan that, but I want to make a little bit of money while I do it. So we have a lot of those folks. And they're able to work from home, be completely independent as far as the autonomy of running their business, but yet they're sponsored and supported by a company like ParkSavers who has the knowledge and the backbone and the know-how to help them be successful. So when you ask if it's all online, yes, it's all online. However, there is plenty of phone work to be done. I mean, you know, we've got an 800 number where it's just flooded with calls every day. And a lot of these agents have also chosen to make themselves available by phone. Not all of them, and it's not a necessity, but a lot of them have made themselves available by phone so that they can really talk through this and engage with each guest.
You mentioned employees. So how big is ParkSavers at this time?
As far as headcount?
Yeah, as far as headcount, if you're comfortable with like revenue numbers, that's always very interesting for people as well.
Sure. You know, I'll probably keep revenue to myself, but I'll tell you this that I think will be an interesting thing. Last year, we sent about 60,000 guests to the Disney and Universal theme parks. Those are kind of the numbers that track that really drive our numbers. So as far as like volume or size, we sent about 60,000 guests last year to give you an idea of what we're doing on a monthly basis.
Very cool. What about like the size of the team and stuff like that? How does that look?
So our team right now is relatively small. We've got about 6 employees, but we have an outsourced we actually have 2 outsourced call centers. For us, that's become a little bit more efficient than having full-time employees, because what it allows us to do is really have 24/7 kind of round the clock service available, including weekends and other things, where trying to employ people, enough people to answer the phones during every shift for 24 hours is, I mean, it can be burdensome financially and also from a managerial perspective. So the outsourced call centers have really taken a huge piece of the need to hire a ton of employees.
Okay, very cool. What about organic traffic, SEO, and stuff like that? Is that important to your business still? Like, is there a member of your team that handles that aspect of your business?
Yeah, good question. So it's critical to our business. In fact, the vast majority of our traffic, about 75% of our traffic, is organic. And Dean, actually, that is Dean's primary role. That's almost all he does. He creates content and manages, drives the SEO effort. Um, we have had, we do have, and have had in the past, third-party SEO companies that we've hired to assist with that. So Dean does all the work hands-on his own, and then these third parties, I end up managing the third-party efforts. So we're kind of coming at it from both sides, trying to get the most juice we can get out of that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So 75% organic is good. Those are good numbers. What are the other types of traffic that you get that you'd want to talk about?
Sure. So I'll give you a long answer, Kelvin, if that's okay. We've tried everything. I feel like we've tried everything. Our business is extremely high volume, low margin type business, right? So when you talk about paid advertising, PPC, that kind of stuff, we've tried many variations of it. We've tried every variation we can think of. And it's very difficult for us in this business to generate a positive ROI based on the lower margin and the need for a very high conversion rate. But we've tried it and we've had varying levels of success. The area of paid traffic that we have found to be most successful, and we love it and we continue to emphasize it, it's a big focus for us in 2019 because it's been great, is actually affiliate traffic. So this is traffic that we have an affiliate program set up that says if you want to drive traffic to ParkSavers, which has been really popular because theme parks in general and Disney specifically are sort of a universal point of interest, right? Like it seems like everybody either has a trip planned or their wife wants to plan a trip to the Disney parks, right? So affiliates have seen there's tremendous interest in being able to use that Disney brand to draw attention and generate traffic. And then working with ParkSavers, you're working with somebody who's excellent at converting that traffic, right? Turning it into money for these affiliates, and has strong relationships in place to make sure that everybody from the actual theme park or provider, the client, the affiliate, everybody ends up happy with the transaction. So we have an excellent affiliate program that's been beneficial for all of the affiliates that have joined us have had a positive experience and continue to work with us and have, again, varying levels of success based on the type of traffic numbers that we have. I mean, we're paying affiliates on a monthly basis anywhere from, on the low end, probably about $100 to up to some of them are more of, this is really what they do. This is what they do for a living. This isn't a, some of the affiliates, I should clarify, are like passion project bloggers, right? They love Disney. They blog about Disney. They want an outlet to say, hey, thanks for reading about Disney, but if you want to purchase some tickets or you want to plan a trip, go ahead and go over here to ParkSavers. We have others who are really professional affiliates, have a tremendous amount of content, are really well plugged in to these theme parks. And, some of those folks are making upward of $5,000 a month. So there's quite a spectrum of the amount of money that folks can make. And again, it's really based on who you are and what your experience is, and obviously the amount of traffic that you're able to push through.
That's very interesting. So you guys are also an affiliate as well, though, right?
Essentially, yeah. I think I mentioned a little earlier, it's generally not referred to as an affiliate, right? I mean, you're an authorized reseller or you're an authorized travel agency. It's not necessarily referred to as an affiliate, but in essence, yes, we're an affiliate because what we're doing is we're driving traffic to these parks, right? So yes, and then we have an affiliate program, a hosted affiliate program. So there's almost like that second tier of traffic coming to ParkSavers and then converting. And that's helpful because there are a number of barriers of entry to be able to work directly with these theme parks, but there are professional affiliates out there and not professional affiliates out there who realize the value of being able to promote something like Disney and uh, can't typically get it done themselves directly. And so this provides a really good outlet for them.
I'm glad you actually brought up the term reseller because I think that's pretty important in this conversation here, because it is really just a matter of perspective in certain ways, right? The reseller generally has a very solid relationship with the vendor, and that's kind of where you guys are sitting at. What was it like to set up that program actually for to have affiliate? Because I mean, I don't think it was always like that, right? You didn't always have an affiliate program, so there was a point where you had to get some technology figured out to make it all work. So how did that go? And can you maybe walk us through that? Because I think some people in our audience might actually want to do that at some point.
Sure. No, that's a great question. And I smile because for a number of years, Dean has a technical background. He's actually really good. But for a number of years, we tried to just sort of bootstrap it and put this technology together ourselves. And the offering, the value was great for clients, but the site sucked, right? I mean, we would tell you that, and we had clients tell us that, like, hey, we love ParkSavers, your site sucks, but we love ParkSavers. It's unique because, again, as a small business growing, right, we're trying to manage getting the value to clients, but didn't want to overspend, and ultimately we've come to a place where we're really happy with the platform that we use, and then we have paid some really professional senior software engineers to develop the tools that are necessary to really make this thing fly. And so it was sort of a combination of do as much as we can on the platform that we can, and then bring in the pros when we needed to. And I'll tell you, for anyone in your audience who's considering it, I wouldn't say rush out there and spend, but I would tell you, when you reach a point where the technology becomes a critical piece of your growth, every day you'll get the value out of the money that you had to spend to get those senior software engineers in there to really make the tool slick. So we've been thrilled with the money that we've spent, and anytime we need an enhancement, we have no reservations about going back to the same group and getting it done.
Just for clarity, were you saying that there was a third-party tool that you were using, and then you used software developers to essentially adjust that third-party tool, or is this completely like a custom-built type of affiliates software, I guess, essentially to your business?
No, sure. Good question. So, and I wasn't clear on it. So no, our website is a very simple website, right? It's just a WordPress site. But the tools, the backend tools, right, that require API connections and other things, those we paid a software developer to build. Does that answer your question?
For the most part, I just thought that maybe I felt that you had mentioned that there was a third-party tool that you guys used.
No, there's not. There's not a third-party tool that does this. This is sort of direct connections that we've had to build or customize.
Okay, very cool. So the one thing I think the one thing too, when I originally was talking to Dean, and Dean led me to you, Brian, was that in the world of in the online space, in the online internet marketing space, you might say there's lots of different there's different sites out there, and sometimes they're not trustworthy, right? So I
Yeah.
had to look around, and I thought, okay, ParkSavers, kind of met them. Let's see what they're all about. And I can't remember exactly where I had I had read it, but somebody was wondering, oh, has anyone used ParkSavers before? So I, naturally, as someone who's thinking about bringing you guys on to interview, I wanted to go and look at it, and somebody had plainly said, um, yeah, I mean, all you have to do is just look at the reviews. I guess you guys have Google reviews, Yelp reviews, and all that kind of
Right.
stuff, and you've got 65,000 uh, Facebook likes as well. So hard to manipulate, especially that kind of
Yeah.
good rapport, we'll say. How did you build that up? Like, was that, you guys you're a reseller of these tickets, so you obviously that is essentially kind of like I mentioned, like a different perspective of looking at things as well, not just being an affiliate but being a reseller. That kind of ups your level in terms of business. So how did you go about that? Is there anything you'd want to share about how to build good rapport like that?
The truth is, with the review sites, it's been very tempting in the past. As you know, there are so many companies popping up that will help you generate reviews, and you can pay these companies to provide reviews. It's been tempting for us to engage in that, because the question that you read is all over the internet, right? It's like, I like what I see at ParkSavers, but I don't want to go spend $2,500 on tickets with a company that I don't feel like I don't know anything about. So has anybody used them? And as you know, in the review space, for the most part, people who want to write reviews are people who are upset, right? And they want to warn off other people who might have a bad experience. And so it's really hard to make sure that you have positive reviews across the board. Where we've been fortunate is that guests of ours have been very generous in going to these review sites and writing reviews without being asked. We haven't solicited reviews. We haven't asked for them to do it. We're thrilled that they do it, and it does make a big difference for us in people feeling like we're legitimate. With Facebook, I think the reason that Facebook has been so successful is we have some cool content on there. You'll see if you scroll through the feed, we do even things like 3D video, right? So Dean will go to the parks, and Dean will take some awesome images, some killer 3D video, and then because he's such a Disney fanatic, Dean will really open people's eyes to some of the, I guess, secrets of the parks, right? They're not necessarily secrets that Disney doesn't want you to know. They're secrets in the sense that most people don't know about them, don't think about them, don't find them, but they're there with a purpose. And so it's really cool for people to follow that and go, oh, well, this is neat. So we've tried to really taper back on Facebook the number of offers that we make, right? We try not to constantly be promoting, hey, we've got a cool sale. We do that because we want our followers to know about it, but we've tried to taper that back to be a limited amount, because people are there for the kind of the Dean stuff, right? The really cool, interesting, unique stuff that your typical guest doesn't get to see or experience. And now, because he's shown it to you, you're going to take advantage of it on your next trip. And it's pretty exciting stuff. So I think Facebook has grown quickly because of that, where the number of reviews that we have, we're thrilled with them, but they haven't grown as fast as we would love it to if we were aggressively soliciting that. We've just sort of made a decision not to solicit that right now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, 65,000 is a lot of Facebook likes, and then when you mentioned that, last year you guys sent 60,000 people to the parks, it's, I don't doubt that, considering in the whole lifetime of the company, you guys have sent way more.
Sure.
I want to actually talk about something that I want to talk about the difference between, in your mind, the difference between an affiliate versus a reseller. Can we talk about that? Because I think in your mind that those things are very distinct, and let's go over that.
Sure. Yeah. Let me see if I can kind of clarify the way I think of it. So these theme parks, or resorts or cruise lines or whatever, they typically, to be a reseller, they need to have a really formalized agreement in place. And most of them don't have an open affiliate program. So I guess to answer your question, in my mind, when I say the word affiliate, to me that means sort of an open program. Come as you are. If you have a little bit of traffic to drive, great, we'll take it and you'll get paid accordingly. If you have a lot of traffic to drive, great, we'll take it and you'll get paid accordingly. Just sort of an open thing, right? Drive traffic to us and get paid. With the reseller piece, it's much more formalized. There's a process, there's an agreement in place, there's structure and a formality to it. And there's an exclusivity to it in the sense that most of them are not looking to add additional resellers. They're not interested in adding additional resellers. And we've been told that many times by many parks, right? Like, hey, we love what you're all about, but we're not interested in adding a reseller right now. So it happens to us as well, right? Even though we feel like we're at a decent size and continuing to grow and we have some things to offer. But so that's the difference to me between a reseller and affiliate. When at the end of the day, they provide a very similar, they provide something very similar. The setup and the structure of it is unique that way.
Okay. Can we play like kind of like a role-playing situation then where let's say how does somebody essentially become a reseller? How does that work? Like, let's say for your example, you have the theme parks. The theme parks is one section of your business, right? But then you've got these other things like cruises and maybe even flights. I'm not sure exactly, but some other subset of when somebody has to go to the park, they have to get to the park somehow. Maybe
Right.
that's through a cruise, or maybe that's through a flight, or something else like that. So could you maybe walk us through a process of how you approach the people to generally to become a reseller for them?
Sure. Yeah. So that is honestly a process of pounding the pavement. And I wish I had a best practice, a tip or a trick to give that would help open those doors. But in reality, it's just a matter of continuing to reach out to these parks. And a lot of times it starts with a little bit of frustration because surprisingly, many of these parks won't even direct you to the person to speak with, right? So it's like you would think, hey, I want to resell your product. It should be easy to find out who to speak with about reselling your product. Even if they tell you no, I should be able to. In many cases, it's not that way. In many cases, they won't tell you. And so being sort of an insider, right, and being someone who has strong relationships and is involved in that community has been really helpful for us to be able to know who to speak with, to even get the conversation started. And then you'll get, it's pretty common to get, we're not looking to add resellers right now. And that's fair, right? Because they control the brand. And even though you feel like you could add value and you bring to the table an already interested base of people. So in your mind, you're like, this is kind of a great thing. And we think we could be a great partner. We've been doing this for a while. We know how to be a great partner. Even still, they'll say no, thank you, which can be discouraging. And many people will simply say, okay, I understand. And that's a hard no. But what we'll try to do is we'll just try to be creative and continuing to come back and saying, look at what we've done here. Look at what we've grown here. Or, hey, we have this idea. It might be unique. We think that this can be a unique thing to be a reseller. So we'll continue to sort of knock on those doors and make those phone calls and not try to be a pest, which I think there's a delicate balance there that I'm sure we've crossed the line sometimes and being a pest, and we try not to, right? We try to be professional in saying, look, we have great relationships in place. We understand how to manage the policies and procedures that you want to see on the website. Many of these parks have really strict nomenclature rules in place. I mean, you have to be spot on with the way that you promote the brand. If you understand how to do that, there is value to that. And so we try to show that we have that understanding, and we have a wealth of content out there, and we're following to a T all of these types of policies and nomenclatures. And even that sometimes doesn't sell it, and we just don't get discouraged. So try to circle back to your question here. I would simply say, don't get discouraged. It really is a matter of just continuing after it. But what we have done that I would recommend is, if you do get told no, don't let your opportunity just sit idle. Set up as an affiliate with somebody like ourselves. And we've done this many times, right? Where we're sort of like a sub affiliate of somebody, where if we can't sell through the park directly right now, that's okay. We still know we have an interested base. We still know we have something we can monetize. And in many cases, the sub affiliate can be just as lucrative, depending on the way that you set it up and the amount of traffic you're able to drive, because you may not have to provide the support, and you might not incur some of the expense that you would incur if you were a reseller. So for me, I would just say, if you do get turned away, don't be discouraged. Go set yourself up as an affiliate. Learn the business, understand the park, understand the nomenclature, then keep knocking on that door, and eventually you should get an opportunity. And when you do, you'll be even more primed to take advantage of it, because you've been servicing that particular opportunity for a period of time already.
Nice. I like that. I like that advice there. I think for people in the audience, it's actually not that unusual to be a sub affiliate, just like Brian had mentioned. I think the majority of our audience is working directly, mostly with Amazon. Amazon as an associate there. But I know websites like, I think Flex Offers is basically just a website where you're just a nested affiliate under them, and they are the ones that control the I guess the accounting basically for that. What's you mentioned something about expenses actually. What kind of expenses are there that are different than being an affiliate?
Well, so for example, I'll use ParkSavers as an example. If you send a visitor to the ParkSavers website, so in this case, you're a sub affiliate. That's what I refer to it as. There may be a different term for it, but all you want to do is you just want to send traffic. You know how to generate interest and send traffic. That guest comes over and purchases a ticket or a package or whatever. There's going to be like order processing, customer service, merchant services, all of these backbone services that need to be provided in order for that transaction to go through and for that client to be supported. And then from the time they book until the time they come home from their trip, oftentimes there's a number of questions, changes, tweaks, things like that. As a sub-affiliate, I don't want to deal with anything, right? I don't want to have a call center. I don't want to have to deal with the fees of merchant services and other types of things. I don't want to have a support team. What I really want to do is I want to generate interest, send it over, and be done with it. Really, you have no expense other than whatever you choose to spend on advertising to generate that interest, which can vary based on whatever your current site is. So really, you don't have any expense after you've sent that guest over. You don't have any obligation or service, nothing you have to provide after that point. So that's what I mean by expenses.
So it sounds like it's like at least on the I'm losing the word right now. The reseller side, it's mostly support and admin, basically.
Yeah. As a reseller, clients need to. I mean, it's not just that they choose to; it's that they have to reach out to you for support. They can't reach out. They shouldn't reach out to the park directly. They will be, and that's part of the agreement, right? They'll be reaching out to you to provide all of the service, changes, refunds, cancellations, upgrades. Everything needs to go through you as a reseller, where if you're an affiliate, you don't have that same obligation.
When somebody goes to ParkSavers, I think I want to actually go maybe step into the different ways that somebody gets into your ecosystem. So assuming that maybe not gets into your ecosystem, but when they're actually in there. So when they arrive at ParkSavers, what kind of options do they have, right? Like, you said there's like, they can call you and you're a travel agent, but then I've also noticed that there's areas on your site too where you're actually directing traffic off of ParkSavers to another park, right? So what are those different areas that you have?
So when you arrive at the site, we try to balance the you've got too many options that it becomes confusing, but we want you to have enough options and to be able to clearly see, I'm interested in a package, or I'm interested in buying only tickets, or I'm interested in a cruise. And then once we get you there, there's a number of ways that we can service that. So we always have available an online chat feature, which is just becoming more and more and more popular. People seem to want to do that. But when it comes to planning a vacation, it's important that you provide them with a phone option, right? So there are certain people who just want to talk to a live human being to feel at ease, that when they show up in a different state, or if they're traveling to an all-inclusive resort, they show up in a different country, things are squared away. I've talked to a human being. And so that the call center has been a really important piece for us. But yeah, when they arrive at the site, there are certain places that we'll actually send them off of our site because it's a better, it provides them with a better online tool. And so what I would describe this as is the affiliate piece of what we do. They have an online tool that will make it super simple if all you want to do is click, click, click and have your vacation booked. However, if you wanted to call us to book one of those, you could call us directly and we would provide that directly for you. So for us, it's just a matter of sort of trying our best to understand what the guest wants when they arrive. And if they just want that super simple click, 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 we have a place we can send them, depending on which theme park they're looking at, to click straight through and be done. If they're really wanting the hands-on agent experience, we're actually going to keep them with our hands on them and walk them through that either over the phone or on chat. So we don't always do a perfect job of understanding what they're looking for, but that's the way that it's designed to work. And we're always evaluating. And you'll notice if you visit the site, you'll notice every few weeks there are small, minor changes made that we feel like either are effective or that we're trying to test to see if it will be effective.
That was actually going to be my next question, was whether or not you do conversion rate optimization on the site. It sounds like you do. Are there any, maybe you may have gone over a bit, but do you have any tips for maybe not? Yeah. Well, what have been big differences in your approach to conversion rate optimization that applies maybe specifically to your site?
Okay, so I doubt these are unique. Your audience obviously are affiliates, and so they understand these types of things. But a couple of the core things that I'm strict about. In fact, Dean and I often have a little back and forth about this. He's more loosey goosey with it. I'm kind of strict about some of these things. So he gives me a hard time about it, but he follows the rules, so that's good. So a couple of things. Number one, I only allow one change, right? I need to know. It's so hard, as everyone in the audience knows, it's so hard to directly attribute improvements to anything. But if you're making more than one change, which is very tempting to do, now you're totally lost, right? Because you can never directly attribute it anyway. But if you've made 2 or 3 changes, you don't actually know which one has led to the improvement or in some cases the decline. So I always say just do one. The other thing that has been surprisingly effective, like I say surprising, it's probably not surprising to a lot of folks. To me, it's been surprising. It's colors. Like simple changes to, you have a call to action and you change the border from blue to red, or you change the border from black to blue, or you change the lettering from black to blue. A color has been surprisingly effective when used correctly. Those are probably the two things that stand out to me, just to give you an answer off the top of my head.
Do you think the reasons why the color makes a difference is because you're in a seasonal niche? Like, for example, let's say people that are looking to do some travel in the summertime, and you're mostly based in the US. I think in California that's where a lot of the parks are. So it's like, okay, this is a blue button, and that's more, I don't know, summery maybe.
California. I honestly don't understand the psychology behind it. People who work on conversion rate optimization know that colors are important. I don't know that I've ever had someone explain to me why a particular color appeals to a certain segment. You could absolutely be right. For me, I just think as I visit websites, my eye always goes to whatever color pops. And my eye also avoids it if a color is used that's overbearing, right? And so you kind of skip past it. So there's this balance of, we have a lot of different calls to action on our website because we have a lot of different things that we want folks to know about. There's this balance of, if you use too many colors, well, now it's too colorful and people don't know where the call to action is. If you use colors that people recognize as a typical call to action, like for example, right, a red button, everybody seems to know a red button is going to take you to checkout on the site, right? You're always going to have this thing. So we kind of try to stick to, if we feel like there's a trend in, or just like a trend on the internet of people recognize this to mean this, we try to stick to those. And again, there's always a balance, and we've used too many colors in the past. We've probably not used enough colors in the past. We're always trying to refine that to make sure that when a guest reaches our site, they don't have to study the site to figure out where to go next and to get to what they want, because they know what they want. In our business, they know exactly what they're looking for when they come to our site. I'm looking for a Walt Disney World ticket. They know what they want. Let's make sure that it's really easy and simple to get them
there. Those are good tips for sure. I'm sorry, my mind is just thinking about different things in terms of how we can implement those sorts of ideas. So now we're in 2019 now. Second month here in February. You've got the whole year ahead of you. What have you guys been doing to prepare for 2019? Like, what's in store? How are you breaking up the growth of ParkSavers coming up this year?
Good question. So we will continue to have Dean basically solely focus on SEO. We have done fair at our organic search result rankings, and fair has been good enough for us as far as being able to pay the bills and do what we want to do. But we have so much room to grow because of the space that we're in. These keywords are enormous, right? So making any incremental progress can result in huge amounts of traffic. But we really, really want to be on page number 1 of our top 20 keywords. And we're on page number 1 on a lot of them. We're kind of in the top 12 on several of them. So for us, we're going to keep that focus. The new initiatives for this year that are really the core part of our growth are the affiliate program and the agent program. We've sort of had this affiliate program and agent program in place, operating, I don't want to say in the background, but hasn't been an area of emphasis for us. So as agents come on, we support them, and we're thrilled about that, but hasn't been a huge area of emphasis. We now have tangible goals as an area of emphasis that we're going to pursue a certain number of agents. And again, that's our sort of franchisee model, right? Our home-based agents who work for themselves but are sponsored by ParkSavers, and our number of affiliates, who again are folks who have no minimum obligation to produce, but we know that there's value to having folks who want to drive traffic to us, and we know that we have an offering where they can make some good money for it. Those are sort of the two new initiatives. In the past, we've always had SEO as a focus, but in the past we've been like, we want to add this service set, or we want to add cruises this year, and we want to emphasize cruises, or we want to add these theme parks that we don't currently work with. We've been adding more providers in the past. This year, we're not focused on adding providers. We're really happy with those that we work with. And if some come along, we certainly won't be turning down any opportunities, but it's not an area of emphasis for us. For us this year, it's let's go out there and grow that affiliate program and grow that agent program, because we see tremendous opportunity with it. So that's what 2019 is holding for ParkSavers.
I know that the dean handles the search engine stuff, the SEO stuff. But do you have any tips or anything like that? Like, because it sounds like you guys are already on the first page for a lot of those keywords. Has he filled you in on the game plan at that point?
Yes, I mean, I've been very involved in our SEO effort. So Dean does it hands-on, but I can speak to it. As I think most people experience, unfortunately, there's not one lever you can pull that works and will jump you straight up. And it seems like it's always a moving target, right? The algorithms are always changing, and trying to identify those things is difficult. So not to be unhelpful, but no, I don't have a specific tip that is going to help, other than I would say massive amounts of content has been helpful, right? Ranking for more keywords, and putting out good quality content. And there are a ton of third-party tools that can be used that I think are helpful and inexpensive ways to look at the content that you have and make some suggestions to you, some very basic suggestions to you about your tags, about the content that exists, about the way that you've got the keywords placed in there. And they're inexpensive solutions. And I think for the most part, they provide all the tips and tricks that are needed. If anybody really held the secret to SEO, they'd be trillionaires and everybody would use their service. It's just difficult to know. And so, again, I don't mean to be unhelpful, especially as your listeners, if they're anything like me, are constantly wanting to know, what the heck can I do to get over the top? But for us, as we look at, and if you do this in your business, to all your listeners, if you go look at those sites who have the traffic that you want, there's always those big 5 or 6 sites in every industry and every niche. If you go look at them, you're going to see that they have enormous numbers of backlinks, and they rank for tremendous numbers of keywords. But those are across the board always the rule, that the folks who dominate the search engine traffic, they have those 2 features.
Thanks for that, Brian. You wear a lot of hats in this business. You're doing a little bit of the SEO. You're handling. You're managing people. You're also working with the vendors in terms of forming better relationships with them, finding new relationships. At least you were in last year. What did you do before this?
It's actually very applicable. I was a director at a transportation company, so not applicable. No, I worked at a large trucking company. They had a third-party logistics arm of their business. They're kind of top 10 third-party logistics company, and I oversaw a couple of their different business units. And I did that for about 7 years. Dean and I have known each other for a long, long time. And as he was growing the business, he and I had a couple of casual conversations about this, but he really got serious about it. And I thought it was a killer opportunity, something that I would love to be involved with. And so I came over from there. I didn't have any e-commerce experience at all. I didn't have any real tools or skills other than just sort of some business acumen. And initially, I put all of my focus into growing traffic through exploring some of the paid traffic, through connecting with affiliates and getting them to drive traffic our way, which in the past was a larger part of what we did, meaning we weren't ranking well, we weren't doing much with search engines. And so our traffic was very small and it was generated by affiliates. We've since been able to better understand the SEO world and get that organic traffic, which has been nice for us because it's not costing us anything. We're not spending money to get this traffic. Oh, come on in. You're on a live podcast.
Nice.
Pleasures of working at home, you might say, you know?
That's my dear wife. She's not feeling well. She's been sick lately, so she just has been trying to get some stuff done. Anyway, so what I was saying is I didn't have any experience. We decided that if we can get this organic traffic thing figured out, which I'm sure all of your listeners are thinking the same thing, it'll be great. We don't have to pay for the traffic. We just have to continue to compete for it. And we've transitioned our traffic to where it's now very heavily organic, and our affiliate traffic has stayed about the same. We haven't grown that. And so we're now realizing, let's get back in there and let's grow the affiliate traffic. We're thrilled that the organic traffic is growing. We want to continue to do that. But affiliate traffic is wonderful. It's found money, right? It's like if they can send us a visitor and we pay them for it, wonderful. But if they don't send us a visitor, we don't have to pay anything for it. So it's kind of just found money for us. And so we're going to get back into that. But I got off track. My background didn't have anything to do with this business. I was not a Disney fanatic at the time. I do have 4 daughters, all ages 9 and under. And so being involved in this business has just been a thrill for them, right? We get to travel to the parks, and having Dean on our side, we get to do some cool things at the parks that we hadn't done when we used to go to the parks. And so it's been great for them. But I was not a Disney guy. I was not an e-commerce guy. I was not an affiliate. Just sort of learned it from the ground up and have really loved it.
I love that, and especially the fact that you guys have known each other for quite a while, and it sounds like it's been a great partnership, and plus a good turnaround in terms of organic traffic and all that coming through. So the final question I really have is just, do you have any other tips or anything else that you'd like to share with the audience that we haven't gone over at all?
No, and I appreciate you doing this. This is actually fascinating. I'm glad to know of this because I think this is an interesting podcast that will elevate me as well as I begin to tune in and learn. But really, I hope that many of them know this is a business that it can just be incredibly taxing, but also incredibly rewarding. As you can see, I've got the best office in town. I've got the best community you can imagine, right? So for me, it's one of those things where if you value freedom and flexibility, I personally value my time more than anything. I want to spend it with my family. I want to have some flexibility. I want to have an income that pays the bills. And this is something that can do it. So I don't have a tip. I just say, don't get discouraged because it does start slow. For the first couple of years, Dean had a full-time job while he was doing ParkSavers. And ParkSavers, as many of these businesses are, is 365, 24 hours a day. You have to work weekends, you have to work nights, you have to work holidays because people are buying online every day of the year. And so it can be a burden if you have to work full time and continue to try to grow this online business. But I guarantee as you continue to persevere, there will come a time when that burden gets relieved a little bit and you're able to really enjoy the benefits of the job that you kind of started this out with anyway. And when you get to that point, you'll have no regrets about the time and the effort and the energy that went into it. So I wish I could give you a tip that would get you there faster. Feel free, if I can solicit this, please feel free to reach out to us, ParkSavers, if you have any interest in promoting Disney or travel in any way. we have a tremendous affiliate program. We'd love to have any of your listeners reach out to us and find out more about the opportunity. We've seen it be a game changer for a lot of folks who are trying to monetize their blogs or their websites or anything else. And we'd love to be a part of that.
Absolutely. It's it's a very unique niche, and I can imagine the search volume that is in the travel, in the Disney realm, the Disney ecosystem. Well, Brian, I just want to say thank you for coming onto the Human Proof podcast. I think a lot of people learned a ton of different stuff, especially about the different ways that you can essentially, monetize a web property. You guys got your hands in a lot of different things, and there was a lot of lessons there as well. So, Brian, thank you for coming on, and I guess we'll chat with everyone next week.
That was a pleasure. Thank you, Kelvin.